Hey, what's up? It's Chase here, and today I'm doing my first ever F1 weekly power ranking. This first list is more of a baseline / where they're at mixed in with their performance in Austin. Going forward, it's going to be based on that week's performance alone. So in the very unlikely scenario where Haas gets a double podium, then they're going to be way higher than they have been because of that week's performance. And with all that out of the way, let's jump into that first week. Coming in at the number 10 spot is, no surprise here, Haas. Where do I even start with this team? They're dead last every race, always occupying P20 and P19. The only way this team isn't finishing dead last is when there's some retirements. It's quite hard to judge the two rookies in Mick and Nikita when the car they're driving is that bad. Last race at the US GP, Haas were 2 laps off the pace. The only cars that were that far off. They're extremely underdeveloped, and every weekend they're just pylons for the faster cars to avoid. And they performed like crap this weekend, so that's what lands them in at number 10. Next, coming in at number 9 is Alfa Romeo. This one's kind of sad. Kimi's checked out, and it seems the only person on the team that doesn't know that Antonio Giovinazzi isn't going to be there next year is Antonio Giovinazzi. With that said, 11th and 13th aren't bad, but when you consider that there are only 17 cars after retirements last weekend, it's not that great. And they don't really have great prospects for the rest of the season. I really feel like they're just packing it in, waiting for Bottas to arrive in 2022 and hoping to hit the ground running then. Next, coming in at number 8 is Williams. This team has shown great progress over this season, and even though their most recent race didn't display that progress, they still have 23 points this season. And if you told me that Williams would have more than 20 points with 5 races left before the season, I would have called you a liar. Every weekend it looks like they're improving. It looks like Latifi's getting better. Even though George is going to Mercedes, he's still driving so hard for that team, and I still think they have a chance to score more points before this season's over. Next, coming in at the number 7 spot is Alpine. So yes, I know Alpine has more points than some of the teams I'm going to list ahead of them, but this isn't a recap of the constructor standings. This is my power rankings. Alpine's performance have gone to show that the 5-race stretch in the middle where Esteban and Fernando were scoring a solid amount of points were the exception and not the rule this season. I see them staying on this path for the rest of the season, but I guess we'll see. The most recent race wasn't easy to judge because both of them retired with mechanical issues. So I guess we can really see what their real ceiling is going forward. Next up at number 6 is Aston Martin. This one breaks my heart that they're so low on this list. I had such great expectations for them coming out of the 2020 season, and seeing how they're doing this year, it's definitely not where I pegged them to be. Don't get me wrong, they're a solid midfield team. They take the most of their opportunities when presented, and Seb is the poster boy of that. It led to a podium, and they're always a threat for points. Lance has been the little engine that can and has always been consistently towards the back end of the top 10, if not in the top 10, fighting for those little bits of points, scrapping for everything. I just believe that this team can pull it together and finish very strong towards the end of the season. Occupying that number 5 spot is AlphaTauri. Pierre has been carrying this team on his back, while his rookie teammate has struggled. It's crazy to think where this team would be in the Constructors' Championship standings if only Yuki wasn't such a wild card. You have no idea if you're going to get a points finish or a crash when it comes to the rookie from Japan. The potential is there though. Last race, Gasly had to retire with mechanical issues, and Yuki scored 2 points. I see Pierre returning to form and being consistent in that top 10, and Yuki getting more comfortable. I think we can start seeing him score more points and this team going on a late surge. And getting 4th place in these power rankings is Ferrari. I'm sorry, I had to. And with that embarrassment to my heritage out of the way, Let's just say it's nice to see the prancing horses back at the top of the grid. It was definitely weird to see them running towards the back end, and this year Charles and Carlos have done an excellent job in that car. This last week in Texas, Charles held on to P4, and Carlos had some battles with their rivals in McLaren and got a P7 finish, which is still very respectable. The car is always a threat to be up there and on the podium, and that's why they're here at number 4. This team can fight for a podium almost any weekend. Kicking off the top 3 in P3 is McLaren. This is a team on the rise. As Daniel gets more used to the car, the more of the threat they can be. I almost wanted to put them tied for 3rd with the Ferrari, but I felt like that was going to be a wee bit of a cop-out on the first list, so let's make some bold proclamations, son. At the USGP, they hauled in 14 points, and that was enough to pass Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. Again, this isn't just a recap of that list. I truly believe that McLaren is the better team right now. They have drove consistently and have had great results, and I believe they will grow their lead in the next race. Coming in 2nd place is Mercedes. Yes, they might be leading the Constructors' Championship right now, and yes, they may have a 7-time world champion on their team, but Bottas is swapping engines every race, and this leads me to believe that Lewis is going to have to go through another one at some point soon. And recently, he hasn't been able to slide through the field like he once used to, so that's going to be an actual issue. Bottas has been driving better recently, and when I say recently, I mean since he announced his contract at Alpha, and Lewis is, well, Lewis. But now they're facing a team that's willing to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them, and Mercedes hasn't faced that yet in the turbo hybrid era, so it's a very interesting challenge for them. And topping off our list in P1 is Red Bull. What a season from the team at Red Bull. They have Mercedes on their toes and Sir Lewis Hamilton sweating. They just won at a track that was historically dominated by Mercedes, and that has been a bit of a trend this year. Max is on fire, and Checo's getting to grips with the car more and more every week. Mind you, some weeks it seems like he regresses a lot, but those weeks are getting fewer and fewer. This week at the US Grand Prix, they scored 1st and 3rd, so they had 2 of them on the podium. So there's no other option for P1 in the first ever Chase Me Power rankings other than them. So what did you guys think of my F1 power rankings so far / the Austin, Texas race power rankings? I'd love to know how you guys rank the 10 teams in the comment section down below, and whether you agreed or disagreed with my picks and why. If you like what I'm doing here, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, smash the big thumbs up. Make sure to follow me on all of the socials, which are in the description. Make sure to check back after the race for the review podcast, and make sure to check in before the race for my Mexico 2021 preview, which is coming very soon, so make sure to stay locked for it. As always, I'm Chase, and I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.